gas in the car, and keep a roof over their head while still serving the American people. Airports and our aviation partners are stepping in to help where we can, providing food and gift cards for gas. But let's be honest, these gestures only go so far. Congress, fix this and fix it now. It was an unforced error to get in the situation in the first place. Let's not compound the problem by letting it drag out. Replacing a screener is not like flipping a light switch. It takes months to get new screeners trained and on the front lines, and we don't have months to spare. We're in the spring break travel season, and the summer is just around the corner. We call on Congress to reopen the Department of Homeland Security immediately and pass legislation to protect the paychecks of these hardworking federal employees whose mission it is to keep us safe. Thank you. And now, the three of us will answer questions if you have them.
Hi, yeah, actually, a quick question. I know you mentioned about like increasing volumes at airports in Florida and Arizona. We've also seen reports of longer lines at some airports in Houston and St. Louis. How soon do we start seeing that at other airports, and to what extent do these disruptions also cover that we hadn't anticipated?
Sure. The question was, when are we going to, we've started to see longer lines in airports, and when is this going to compound? And I think you're going to see that as every day goes by. The longer this goes on, in the past, what's happened in the past is usually a good indicator of things. We're going to see sick-outs. We're going to see screeners who love their jobs, but are going to be forced to look for other jobs. They're going to have to, TSA is going to do their very best to try and keep those lines moving, but they're not going to sacrifice safety, and that means people should be prepared as this drags out for longer lines. Take more time. You're going to have to pack your patience if you're going to the airport.
I wonder if we have a solution, because what you said is fix it. And what I wonder is, obviously this isn't about, the reason that the government shut down, DHS shut down, is not about whether or not TSA screeners should be trained or hired or paid or any of those things. It has to do completely with what's going on in other parts of DHS, specifically ICE and border protection. And I just wonder if you have a solution for that. Is the answer that all that should continue as it's going along? Or is the answer that some of those things need to change? For instance, we talk about screeners and needs to be trained. ICE agents are not being trained when they use border patrols not being trained. What's your solution to get Congress to move that? I remember you've dealt with 400. You've dealt with 400 House members.
Sure.
Before.
So the solution's right there. There are a couple different acts and bills sitting before Congress that would pay the federal aviation workers, that would give them the carve-out, right? Just like any business, if you're struggling in a business, if workers are coming, you have to pay them. So it simply says if you're a federal aviation worker, you're coming to work, we're going to pay you. The money's there. It's been appropriated. It just hasn't been released. So the answer is actually, I think, pretty darn simple. There's a couple different ways. A couple different congressmen have put bills up. A couple different ways to do it. They just haven't been able to get it over the line.
Yeah, I would just add to that in the last shutdown, it's more than $6 billion lost, 1 full point of GDP. It's actually, there are two very simple things to do. One is just prevent shutdown. Just don't allow these things to happen. You can't have a shutdown in the state. This isn't an option. If you're going to keep that option, how do we exempt everybody connected to aviation? Air traffic controllers, TSA, CBP, all of those should be exempted in order to ensure that the aviation system continues to run. Now, obviously, they don't want to do that. They'd rather use this industry, the people behind us, the people who are on the front lines today, as pawns. That's something they should be ashamed about.
Hi, Sarah with CBS. I have a question on a different topic, if I may. I was wondering if there's been any movement on the airlines involved in evacuation from the Middle East at all.
So I can tell you that they've moved. I think Caroline Levitt had a number yesterday in terms of the number of folks that they've moved out. There are aircraft from all different aspects, both commercial and other aspects of aviation, all participating in making sure, specifically on the American side, I can't speak to other parts of the world, that making sure that Americans have a gateway out of there and for free. So Everyone has kind of pitched in, everyone has said we're here for assistance, and it's being coordinated mostly through the Department of Defense and the state.
Hi, Ariel Hickson with MS Now. I'm curious, you're saying you have about a week until these paychecks will be missed. Have you spoken, I mean, I know you're pleading to Congress, but has there been any movement towards that? Are you hopeful that they're going to potentially change things so that individuals will be able to get their paychecks?
Well, I can just tell you, we have armies of people on Capitol Hill every day having this conversation on both sides of the aisle, kind of pleading with folks that might be on the fence about moving forward with one of these direct solutions. What they do want to do with DHS, again, that's their issue. TSA can be carved out. It's right there for it. And so, yeah, we're advocating constantly on the issue. I want to throw a quick pitch in here. I think Pam McNeil, the administrator of TSA, has done a phenomenal job. She's out there every day. She's keeping her staff motivated. She's traveling around. She's doing everything she can to keep the system functioning. And I know it's been a 24-hour effort on her team. But at some point, it'll be about 2 weeks from now, a shot, maybe a week and a half, actually. That first zero paycheck is going to come in for those individuals.
Yeah, I'll just add, I'll echo the comments on Ha, who's done a fantastic job leading TSA and keeping morale within TSA high, which is obviously not something easy to do at this time. The simple answer, and the governor's right, we've got teams up on the Hill, the simple answer is no. People are not responding with the urgency that they need to be responding today. They haven't felt the pressure as of yet. We just saw this, as was mentioned back in October and November. It took several weeks for the pain to really kick in. And it wasn't until the pain began to kick in that Congress woke up to the problem. Why do we have to watch this movie again? Why do we need to watch TSA officers go home without a paycheck, be unable to buy groceries, be unable to put gas in the car? We've seen this movie before, and yet Congress demands replaying. So it's going to take more pressure from industry. It's going to take, unfortunately it seems, the natural behaviors of TSA officers, as Todd mentioned, going and getting gig jobs, calling out for various reasons. It's going to take long lines, apparently, for Congress to respond. I guess I would call on travelers to demand response before them. We, all of us collectively, shouldn't be the ones who have to go through the pain for Congress to wake up.
And I'm going to go ahead.
I was just going to add one quick thing that makes this one a little more challenging than the last shutdown, and that is the last shutdown, the entire federal government was closed. They used aviation as a lever to try and reopen the government. This time, there's just one agency that shut down, and that means that the American people are a little more diffused in their attention that they're paying to this. If you're traveling, you're certainly paying attention, but if you're not a traveler, you may not be paying as much attention to this shutdown as you were to previous shutdowns. So that's why it's really important for anybody who is involved in the travel industry to make sure that their voice is heard and that we get Congress not to be on spring break, but we get them to actually do their job.
I'm going to hit one more point. I think it's something I heard. How does TSA recruit? We need more TSA workers. We need more air traffic controllers. Where is the message we're sending to that potential young workforce that wants to come in when they go, I'm going to come into an industry where it's not just once every couple of years that there might be a hiccup, but a couple times a year, I might be that political football that's being used and I don't get a paycheck. We're trying to rebuild all of air traffic control across this country. It's an amazing project, the Air Traffic Control Modernization Project, and I think FAA is doing a very good job moving that stuff forward. But how does that move forward? You need workforce behind it, right? So they're trying to do their job to rebuild what is really the restructure, one of the largest telecommunication system in the world. They're going to rebuild the whole thing in the next couple of years. But you got to have those controllers and those TSA agents. You got to have the whole system working, right? And what does it say to those young people when they're making a decision on what workforce to choose? It's going to be really hard to be able to keep hiring folks into this industry as a whole if this is the message that we're delivering.
Governor, Dave Shepherdson from Reuters. Just a quick question. Is there any chance that global entry might be reinstated, do you think? And what's your concern if there are staffing shortages and they have to, take down, the pre-check lines? What kind of pressure is that going to put on spring break
So
training?
to take us back a week or so, we got word very, very late one night that pre-check and global entry were going to basically be gone. For the next 12 hours, it was all hands on deck, on the phone. We at least got pre-check back reinstated within the early hours of the next morning, which was great. I've had direct conversations with folks about the TSA, Homeland Security. I don't, right now, they don't seem inclined to reopen global entry. I think it's a huge mistake. When you have the most vetted, secured passengers being able to move through the system seamlessly, to shut that system down and shove everyone into a standard line, not only does that not make actual mathematical sense in terms of actually moving people through a line, but it actually creates a disincentive. Why would anybody want to go through the global entry process if every time there's a shutdown they're going to be kicked back to the regular line? So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. We're advocating very strongly on that piece, but right now, I don't know, unless you guys have heard anything differently, they don't seem inclined to move.
The only thing I would add is that pausing pre-check and global entry creates security risks. These are travelers who are pre-vetted. These are travelers who have given up information about themselves. Now you're throwing them all in the same line and expecting a TSO or a CBP officer to pick a needle out of a haystack. That's exactly why we created these programs, to not do that. There is absolutely zero justification for the Department of Homeland Security pausing either program. We've been pleased to see with White House engagement, pre-check up and running. We'll need that same engagement to get the global entry up and running. We're having those conversations daily. I'm optimistic it will happen soon, but this is, it defies logic why either program would be paused.
Allie from Bloomberg News. With global entry paused right now, are you seeing is any data coming in on sort of what wait times are looking like? And also, I guess, just any other impacts? Are there any particular airports that are hit hardest?
I had this conversation with CBP leadership yesterday. There are instances of wait times increasing. Fortunately, many travelers are hearing the messages from airlines, from Chris's members, to download Mobile Passport, that app NPC, to find kind of an alternative way to streamline the process. That is working smoothly so far, but I think the message that I heard from CBP is that they would much prefer to have their full arsenal of programs up and running, and it's probably only a matter of time. But again, what I heard from CBP having this conversation yesterday, we're fortunate. Spring break isn't in full gear yet, so they're not at peak volumes right now. They worry, we worry what will happen when those peak volumes pick up.
Karin Demerjen with the New York Times. This is a little off topic, but in the wake of the El Paso incident, there's been a lot of discussion between FAA and Department of War about how to balance commercial safety with the testing of these lasers. To what extent have the airlines been weighing in on this, and with whom, and what message are you trying to give for that conversation?
Well, I'll just say, I mean, our understanding is that was just a real communications breakdown. So our message has been very clear to both of those departments. You got to talk, and I think they understand it. I think the message has been received. I think there's been a lot. They're trying to re-strategize in certain instances because it wasn't. I mean, it took place in El Paso, but there could be other areas where things are being tested or whatever it might be. So they have to talk. Communication has to be there. It's not a law. It's not a rule. It's nothing like that being passed. It's just a matter of everyone collaborating and understanding that it can have huge impacts on the airspace.
Last question. Thank you.
Hi, Eduardo with Newsmax. So going back to sort of unleashing of the funds that are already appropriated, how would this tie into the expedited travel programs like global entry, and how do you ensure that these funds would only be used in aviation context?
Well, I can tell you, so my understanding is releasing the funds that we're talking about, specifically for TSA, and making sure that, while it's not an issue today, air traffic controllers have the same flexibility for potential issues down the road. Those funds allow those organizations and those workers to stay on the front line. Global entry and pre-check, that's, I believe, my understanding, the global entry money is being moved to be diverted to other areas of law enforcement as it's been described. So that's still probably a bigger DHS issue in terms of making sure that those programs are working and they're functional. But yeah.
I think one point, I'll just close with this, I think one point that's been lost.
The microphone, please. At the mic.
Did comment on. Many of these programs are paid for with user fees. Every flight you take has a 9/11 security fee on it that is funding TSA. When you join Global Entry, you pay a fee that pays for much of Global Entry. So it's not just that we're shutting things down. We're all but stealing money from travelers who have put that money forward to fund these programs.
There's billions in this country.
Absolutely.
I'm sure they're collecting interest by the way.
Thank you, we appreciate it. I'm sure some of us will be around the side if you have any additional questions. Thank you.
Chicago, maybe, yeah.
You're clear. Sorry. All over.